Welcome back to the Wake Up Call. I'm your host, Mr. Peregrine. And today's message is basically one that you might not even realize that you needed. This episode is called You versus You. Me versus me. What do you mean? Now, because let's be honest, the biggest fight in your life and mine isn't the world, actually. It's not with your job, your ex, or the person that who made it before you. It's with the voice that lives inside of our heads that keeps asking, am I enough? Hey, am I enough? So today we're going to go silent, and we're going to talk about why only competition is the person in the mirror. So basically, the person that you see in the mirror is the competition. I'm thinking, like, as I'm speaking, Guti, I actually have a tattoo that's written similar to this. Like, I know God is there, right? But like, human as me here, I say to myself, like, comparing myself with Abanyaband, is that it's me. I'm my own strength and my own weakness, and only through myself would I rise, and only through myself would I fall. Basically meaning that the person that's in the mirror is whom that I'm competing, Like, I shouldn't let other people, other things from outside that are external to define or try and, compete with. So, the comparison trap, we all have been there, scrolling on social media, looking at someone else's wins, their body, their businesses, their relationships, and you're thinking, why not me? This is especially women, I know you guys are listening, especially you guys, you look at the relationships on social media, people's bodies, and then you're just like, why me? But also us guys, we also do that. We see men drive big cars, they have money, they're flesh, all that stuff. You're like, what am I doing with my life? But here's the truth, and this is real. I've seen it firsthand. Comparison is a thief. I always used to tell somebody, stop comparing yourself with people. Stop going to social media and ruining your own day. Live, get up and do something with your life. It steals your joy. It steals your peace. Tenage, we're all for peace. And the worst of all, it steals your focus. Sometimes you may have something and then you realize, you're on social media, you're looking at better things, like, this thing that I have, do I even need it? It's not worth anything. And then you lose it, and then you realize that's the only realest thing that you even had. So if you're there comparing yourself behind the scenes of someone else's trailer, and I think just not fair. It's not fair, not to them, and it's definitely not fair to you, because it's social media, man. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know what it cost them. And most importantly, you're not meant to be them. I think we're all here in this world to live our lives our way. You're unique. You're different. Nobody is you in the whole world. So you are your only competition, or you should be your only competition. Says there's only one person that you should be measuring yourself against, is you. Yesterday's version of you, the time you went to bed yesterday, that's whom you compare yourself with. Not your friend. Not that influencer on Instagram and Facebook and people who use Facebook, Not that influencer on your WhatsApp, not your coworkers who've got the promotion, It's just you, man. Just you. All you can do is sit there and ask yourself, what am I doing? Am I growing? If you've been through something, am I healing? Am I really doing the best that I can do with what I've got? That's something I look at myself in the mirror and I need to ask myself as well, That's the real scoreboard, So, like, I think I've been there myself, I've actually I've never owned a car before, Now I can afford to buy a car, but I still don't have a car because I don't really need it. But I think maybe at some point in my life, I compared myself with people who drive nice cars, I mean, right now, I sort of look up to them, not in a I'm comparing myself kind of sense. It's like, I need to work on myself. I need to work on these things to attain, what I have in my heart, So I think me comparing myself with other people just makes me go crazy because I would always look myself as less than and them as somebody that are better at everything, So that moment that taught me that my journey is mine. Like I go to the gym, but I'm not buff and all those things because, sometimes life will stress you out and, you don't go to the gym. But that's just an excuse. And then you see people who've been in the gym and like, nah, man, we don't live the same life, I deal with my own devil. They deal with their own devil, So they live their own life. I live my own life and nobody's going to live my life for me, And another thing that came up was that you have your own timing, Like I try to tell people sometimes, just stop rushing your life because someone else looks ahead of you. Stop, They might be on chapter 20 and you might just be on chapter 4, And it doesn't make you behind or it makes you, but you progressing actually, You don't need to match anybody's timeline. You don't need to, you don't need to like listen to people. Hey, you should have this. You should have had kids. You should be married by now. You should have a car by now, or this, and the third. All you need to do is just honor yours, man. So, 1% better every day. I think that is the mindset that had changed for a lot of people. If you could have this one mindset to let me just try and improve just 1% of whatever it is that I'm trying to do, Don't aim for perfection, just aim for progress. You woke up, try and do something better, Start that thing that you always wanted to do, man. And if you can be 1% better than you were yesterday, 1% more focused, 1% more disciplined, and 1% more or 1% more kind to yourself. I think this is the biggest for me. How you talk to yourself, how you see yourself is the most important thing. So that that compounds over time. So that's growth, it's just you versus you, And what are you really competing for, Here's a question. I want you to sit down and think about this. What is it that you're actually chasing? You, my guy, sis, what is it that you're really chasing? Because if the answer is validation from Abantu, you're posting stuff on Instagram, approval, or being better than somebody else, then you will most definitely always feel empty. But if the answer is becoming more you, living more aligned, doing what matters to you, then yeah, man, you're already winning. Like you're already winning. And here's a journal prompt for myself and for you. If we could take just a few minutes tonight and maybe try and write this down. What do I admire in others that I can build in myself starting from today? That's a big one. You'd actually realize that these qualities that you respect in other people, they aren't out to reach, These are reminders of who you can become too. Like I said, you're at the gym, you're seeing guys with bigger muscles, Maybe you need to do more reps. Maybe you need to eat the right food or the right protein. You don't know. So my final thoughts in this is that in this world, in fact, doesn't need a copy of somebody else. It needs a full, raw, real version of you. You know, your path is yours. Your pace is yours. Your power is already inside of you. You just have to stop looking around long enough to tap into it. So, myself included, let's try and remember this. You're not late. You're not behind. You're not less. I've never owned a car, like I said. Does that mean that I'm behind? Oh, I've seen people own cars before me, and I've seen people lose cars before me, but it doesn't say anything. It's just they are at their lane. I'm in my own lane. So we're humans. We're growing. Kids are growing up. I've seen kids in my family. They're growing up. They're just becoming. We're all just becoming. Day by day, we're becoming. It's only you versus you. Ha. That's it. That is the only fight. That's what showing up for it anyway. So I want us to take a minute and just like really realize that you matter to yourself more. Other people actually matter to themselves more than us. So thanks again for hanging in with me today on the wake up call. And as always, if this episode hits home for you, share it with someone who needs to also be reminded that they're not in a competition with the world, but they're actually in a competition with themselves. They are in a conversation with our own growth. And I'm your host, Mr. Peregrine, and this has been episode 4 of You versus You. Until next time, I would like to say something to you out there listening, wherever you are. Stop comparing yourself. Start creating the light that that feels right for you. Just stop comparing yourself. I'm out.